Every year, Startup Grind hosts our SGWomen Month, proudly recognizing the accomplishments of successful women leaders all over the world. These women are founders, venture capitalists, engineers, executives, educators, and more, who represent our community all around the world. This month, SGWomen Month is proudly presented by Silicon Valley Bank and Google for Startups.
So I believe we are live from we're live from page 2. So Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to Startup Grind Kashmir's talk today on women building communities. My name is Bemisal Iqbal, and I'm here on behalf of ElleTech Women in Teams today, which is an online platform. We aim to redefine female heroes in Pakistan because we strongly believe that there are so many women doing phenomenal work out there in Pakistan, जो highlight नहीं होता, which is why appreciate नहीं कर पाते हम उन औरतों को, and in turn उनको empower नहीं कर पाते. So ये हमारी एक छोटी सी कोशिश है to establish an online platform where women in teams specifically can network with one another, can meet each other, learn from one another, appreciate each other's work, and in turn empower one another, building the Pakistani community. So we have with us today 4 amazing panelists doing phenomenal work in in different communities in Pakistan. We have Farnaz Shama, who is the head of community at Tello. We have Hira Wajahat, who is a country lead at Climate Launchpad. We have Eisha, who is a community manager at NIC Islamabad, and Cynia Ejaz, who's a corporate innovation lead at Telenor Velocity. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today and bearing with me through the technical glitches that happened. There's so much that I want to talk to you all about, ask you about, and in turn learn from all of you. So without further delay, what I want you to initially start with is a little about your background and what the role you play in building the communities that you are building as we go. So starting with Farnaz, can we start with you?
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you, Bemisal. And totally, it's okay. I have no technical glitches. It's perfectly fine. Okay. My name is Farnaz, and I'm heading the community at Tello. I have around like 10 plus years experience. I did a job in a tech company previously. And then I started my journey in this startup around 4 years back. Co-founded the startup by the name of Tello. And Tello is a social media, Pakistan's first social messaging platform. And we are proud to say that it's Pakistan's first messaging platform because we have international apps and we have international messaging platforms out here, and we all use that. But there's no Pakistani platform that we can actually use for communication purposes, and that we are proud to say that we are Pakistan's first platform. So my role here in Tello is I'm heading the community division. I have a team who interacts with our users. We call them our family. Tello Talkers, we call them our family, and we interact with them. We actually take their words, we have their ideas, their needs and their wants, and we develop the product according to the market needs. And the best is, hum Pakistani samajh sakte hain ki kya banana chahiye, because we are here, we are working with these people, we are actually talking to them. I myself directly interact with these users and take their feedback and then translate it into action points. So that's my actual role here at ElleTech.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Farnaz. Hira, moving on to you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Hira Wajahat. My core line of business, or what I've been doing for the past 10 or 11 years, is working on sustainability and impact, consulting on various initiatives with corporates, development sector. And in the last couple of years, since 2010, we've been sort of working on developing a clean tech innovation ecosystem. Started off with a project that I wanted to enable, but I think more than the project, I sort of moved into enabling the entire community. We started off by bringing in an international competition by the name of Climate Launchpad to Pakistan, which is soliciting business ideas working on climate impact. And they go with the tagline, fixing climate change one startup at a time. And I think from there on, it's just been trying to grow this into something bigger, getting into the diversified verticals that are coming from the Climate Launchpad competition and going into them further. And this year, inshallah, again, it's a small community, but how we're growing is we're looking forward to launch the full-fledged accelerator program to support the participants of Climate Launchpad. So we'll be rolling that out somewhere in August or September this year. So in terms of the innovation community, the ecosystem, that's how the community has been growing for us. Still small, still slow, but we've been successfully able to, in addition to a lot of young startups who are already in the market, we've also gotten a lot of interaction with students who are researching on potential products that could become a part of the pipeline, academia, the government also, and then the private sector as well. So I think it's like sort of a 360-degree stakeholder community now. And yes, of course, the most important are, again, all the other active players, because we're incomplete without the NICs or other incubation centers who are around us. So still sort of working on building that up, but yeah.
Phenomenal. And good luck with this new accelerator program.
Inshallah.
Starting. That's lovely. Eisha, if you could have a little bit about you and your...
Yes, Assalamu alaikum everyone, and thank you Bemisal for hosting us today. And don't worry about the technical difficulties; it happens to the best of us, so don't worry about it. So I am working as community manager at the National Incubation Center Islamabad for over a year now. We've incubated over 230 startups in different verticals, different industries. From AI, e-commerce, you name it, the conventional industries, all new, disrupting, innovative technologies. They're all being explored by startups that are incubated through our programs. We're now consciously also making an effort to include more women, female founders, and to encourage our startups to, have more females in their teams. In our past experience, no offense to anyone, but females are better multitaskers, to say the least. They can all reap the advantages of it. Slowly, steadily, we're getting there. Our numbers are improving slowly and gradually. For the community, not just working with startups, but we're also consistently organizing workshops, training programs. And they're all pro bono. This is our way of giving back to the community. Startups that are not part of any incubation acceleration program, as moving forward, this is in our pipeline. They can register for these short courses, these workshops, so that we can keep them engaged, especially, given the current scenario where the world is going. Virtual programs are happening, virtual workshops are happening, and we're going to take advantage of that and give as much as we can back to our ecosystem, back to our community, and contribute in whatever way we can. That's in the pipeline for now. That's it, and I'm looking forward to speaking to all of you today.
No, that's lovely. And, being incubated ourselves by NIC Karachi, I can tell that, there is a lot of help that startups need, and they get from, platforms like yours, the work that you're doing. Cynia, moving on to you.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's good to be here. Just glad that we're doing this. Finally, I didn't want to let anyone down. I also had a sort of a glitch. My laptop wasn't working, so I thought to join from my phone because I didn't want to let anybody down. So I'm just glad, despite all the glitches, we're doing this. So I'm Cynia Ejaz. I've been working in the startup ecosystem for about 6-7 years now. Before that, I've been working in the corporate sector for about 14 years or so. I joined the startup ecosystem mainly because I failed my own startup. And at that point in time, this is way back, I think there weren't any incubators, accelerators other than Plan 9. And Nest.io, yeah. And then I didn't get the help that I needed, and I wasn't really focused. I did not know कि क्या कैसे startup बनता है, क्या करते हैं. मैं तो उसको business की तरह treat कर रही थी. Khair, long story short, I failed it, and then soon afterwards I realized that this is a world of its own. So I joined Telenor at that point in time, and Velocity is the startup accelerator that we initiated. We wanted to I joined Velocity because I understood that startups cannot survive on their own. They need the help of corporates. They need the help of incubators, accelerators. And that's where my journey started. We raised Telenor Velocity at that point in time in 2016. Uske baad I joined as a community manager and then a senior community manager at the National Incubation Center. So great to see Eisha here as well. She reminded me of all the old days that we've worked together. It's put a smile on my face. And working with the startups, I mean, with the community, it's been about 5 years now. I'm back at Telenor, just letting you know that I now manage their corporate innovation portfolio, which includes Velocity as the accelerator, and then obviously internal corporate innovation as well. And it's been quite a journey, to be honest, seeing both worlds, because एक startup की world है, उनकी thought process है, entrepreneurship का एक अलग chain school of thought है, sort of, and then corporate is another thing. So my job is basically to be the bridge between both worlds, and it's been quite a journey. I'd love to share some stories with you about building the community at NIC and then Velocity as well, especially focused on women entrepreneurs. There's a story that I would like to share, but obviously moving on into the whole talk as well. But
yeah, sure. That is actually what I wanted to ask from you, like if there are any, success stories, so we can come back to that. And what I want to ask each one of you, since you yourself are women and building communities, mashallah, since many, many years, how have you seen the role of women evolve in the startup ecosystem? And do you think more needs to be done? And if yes, then where exactly? So any one of you can take this question, as in like whoever wants to go first.
I mean,
may I?
Yeah, sure.
Or Eisha can go.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Basically, I think in my case, we're a very small community, about 250. I can count off my fingertips that I have, because that's what my Excel sheet says in terms of my data. But 51% of those are female founders, right? In clean tech alone. Girls working on solar, on renewables, on agri-tech, and you name it. I mean, across air quality, anything to do with climate, right? So for me, it's like, I think it didn't occur to me, but my colleague from the Netherlands was also a trainer for the Climate Launchpad program. He pointed out, because, and he's like, you've got 50% women in the room in this training, right? And we've done, and then we've had that ratio 2 years in a row. This is the 3rd year, and I'm looking at a similar number again. The fact that in a country like Pakistan, you cannot really envision, or when you go abroad, people think you're an anomaly, but that's not the case. I see women doing some really amazing, brilliant stuff, and I have not seen otherwise. So, I mean, I understand there's diversity, there's challenges, there are areas where we have not been able to reach to, which are still devoid because of culture and other things, but that's another issue altogether. But in terms of not being recognized, that is something that we still sort of, like, that things are happening. We just don't document and narrate them as stories as they should be. So that's my thought on that. But Eisha, over to you.
Yes, Eisha.
So it's just that, so here at the NIC, and before this, I was working for PITB and working for Plan 9, Plan X, the incubator and the accelerator program. And I remember this is about 6.5 years ago, we realized that since both the programs were focusing on tech startups, there were hardly any female founders or team members. We had a lot of startups. Plan 9 would take 20 startups every cohort, and a cohort would last for 6 months, right? So about 40, 45 startups were incubated. Plan X would take 10. And there were hardly any, like maybe 7, 8 at best, right? And one thing that we started off, and we realized this a lot sooner, because this was the time when we were actually starting to reach out to partners globally, right? And the startup ecosystem in Pakistan was still very nascent. And we realized that the gender disparity was actually a big disadvantage that we had as a program, right? Because the bigger companies like Facebook, Amazon, they were all looking at more equal numbers, or at least representative numbers, right? And having 2 or 3 female founders was not doing the job for us. So we started this initiative, which I think has closed down now, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. It was called Herself. And it was just a bunch of us within the team. So here's the thing, right? The team was, majority of the team members were female. It was a largely female-dominated team. It was a lot of fun. But so we got together and we decided that we needed a program to help scout for women. So we reached out to the government. We started doing trainings in, government degree colleges. We started going there. We started scouting people from there, getting them to come into internships, just expose them to the environment, right? And then I sort of, so these were all baby steps. We were getting women who had done great stuff, like, but in like conventional areas, we got Musarat Misbah to come in from Deplex, right? To come in and speak. Miss Seema Aziz from Barize came and spoke, right? Just to inspire these girls, just to tell them that there is, that we need to do more than just be financially independent. It's more about your self-actualization, your self-realization, right? Having an identity of your own. So we did a lot of trainings for that. That program, I feel like, opened pathways for a lot of new programs, right? This was the first time that Facebook's She Means Business actually partnered with a program here in Pakistan, opened up trainings. Now we see them training with USAID, different other organizations, right? So it opened pathways always. So what I'm trying to say is small effort, closed down now, but I feel like it achieved what it aimed to do, which was open pathways to create awareness. Similarly, at the NIC, when I say we're consciously making an effort to include more female founders. Yes, right now the number seems insignificant. 24% of our startup founders are female, but I realize how people like Cynia, how much hard work was put in to get to this number. I also see, because now I'm more involved, so I see how much effort we're putting into reach out to women, not just in Islamabad, anyway, at university levels. This starts at a much lower level. Earlier age, you need to reach out to schools, you need to reach out to universities, you need to reach out to parents, right? Awareness education needs to happen on all levels. So we're trying to aim at that. We're working on a program called Founder Here, similar to Herself, bigger and better, hopefully, and we're able to sustain it. But it's the small effort of I see it's very encouraging, because I see every incubator, every accelerator trying to do their part. Everybody's realized it, that it is now time to encourage more women, right? And just a quick something that I'd like to share. Aksa, I don't know if she's here or not. We just did a fintech hackathon, right? And we realized that for our panel discussions, for our judges, for our mentors, we were only able to get 2 females.
Wow.
It was absolutely disheartening, discouraging to see that there weren't that many female in leadership positions in the fintech industry. And this is the sad reality for a lot of other industries that are male dominated, right? And why is that so? That's my question, right? We're exposed to the same kind of education. I feel like it's more a cultural mindset. Ladki doctor banegi, ladka engineer banega, right? So that sort of has traveled into this, but I'm glad we're breaking barriers, we're breaking these glass ceilings, and hopefully I have a little daughter of my own. Hopefully when she grows up, things are better, and
and like you said, every little step matters. Like you may say it's shut down now, but it did open pathways. So for you,
of course,
24% is huge. And like you said, I 100% agree with you when you talk about mindsets. We have to step back and question why it's still at 24% in 2021. It's because, we have to take a step back. Mindsets of the families, like you said, parents have a big role to play. And, the next parents will probably think way differently than our parents did. So, forward. Cynia, I think you also wanted to add something here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the question, if I look at it over the years, over the course of 6-7 years, I feel like it has improved a lot. There are a lot of new women founders coming out. There are a lot of old women founders who were working on their startups, but now their businesses are growing. I remember when I joined Velocity, we had a Dr. Sarah Khurram in Velocity in the very first or second cohort. And at that time, she was working on the startup called Doctors. And she was an inspiration for me back in the day. and Isha is right. Over the course of time, we have really improved NIC and other places, other incubators, accelerators, because all of them are working towards one goal, is to give women founders that enabling environment. And part of that enabling environment also means providing daycare facility, or providing sort of, because again, parents is one issue, or the culture is one issue, but the biggest problem is that women not only have to raise a startup, they have to raise their families as well, and their household, and run their households and everything. So NIC did give that, and other programs around in Pakistan as well. One of the stories I wanted to share, and it's a story really close to my heart. I wouldn't name the startup founder, but she joined the NIC in the 4th cohort. I think they're at their 10th cohort right now. And the first few meetings that I had with her, we were doing these need assessment meetings, and she was very panicking, because obviously in that meeting I was at the very end of the table, and I was asking her questions she'd had no answers to, regarding her own business. So she started to panic, and she was very sort of like going all over the place with her answers and everything. And I just told her, okay, listen, calm down. We're not going to kill you here. We're only here to help you. So even if you don't have all the answers, that's fine. You'll get there. If you don't know how to present, she was purely from a tech background, so obviously her business acumen was not on point at that point in time. And then she obviously lacked confidence to speak as well. So we did all of these trainings with her. We took her through the entire curriculum at NIC. We took her through different pitching competitions. And then I saw her grow over the span of 1 year, which is the program time at NIC. I literally saw her grow to a person who won Pasha Awards, who won startup competitions. She got her startup accelerated into another program with Telenor Velocity as well. So overall, I just saw her grow into this amazing, confident woman. And all of that happened because she was given that community. She was given that place where she could feel comfortable in her own skin. She could learn from others. She could go to people with her problems, find solutions. So yeah, so I feel like that's one story that sticks to me, because real life example hai mere samne of a person who I saw at day 1 and then at day 365. And I think if you ask me, currently, I also, by the way, I run my own startup as well called Zaman Art, and our startup recently got selected in a 4-month fundraising program with I2I, and we raise I2I and World Bank. So it's basically a program focused on just helping women founders raise investment. So I feel like ke pura ek chain hai from the point when the when the female founder starts her startup to a point that she actually is able to raise funds. So I feel like where there are more women coming into the startup phase, where they are opening up their businesses, they're going to these incubators, accelerators, and obviously networking, building their own network. But there's still not many women at the stage where they need to fundraise or have raised investment per se. So I feel like gap hai, but if you ask me, if I compare it to the 5-6 years before me, I feel like we've really improved. But having said that, I feel there needs to be more programs out there for women, and as Eisha said, it needs to start at the very bottom of the chain, where university students are given the option of starting their own businesses, and also even if they have to start a family or whatever, they can start small businesses from their homes as well. So I feel there is obviously more room for improvement.
Yeah, and what you said, logistically, women need to be eased into this process as well. Like, I live in Bahrain, and a lot of women here I know want to do things, but logistically it's not possible. Where do they leave their kids? What do they do? And daycare scene jaise Pakistan mein itna acha nahi hai, yahan pe bhi itna nahi hai. And it is like, how a lot of women would come out and say, child rearing is our primary responsibility. How can we dump our child on someone else? We want to do this. So, you need to make it easier logistically as well for a woman to ease into this, be it a startup, be it just working, just working and being able to own it and not feel guilty about it. So that's also another big angle. So thank you so much, Cynia, and Farnaz, if you would like.
Yes, I would like. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Just to give you my example, when Fatma, my daughter, was born 7 years ago, the company didn't have daycare or such sort, but they allowed me to bring my daughter to office. Okay, those 3 months were so important because at that moment I could have broken up. Probably I would have left a job, but they actually made the environment so comfortable that those 3 months I used to bring Fatma to office. I used to meet people in the lift, and they were like, "Oh, you're bringing such a little kid to office, and how are you managing, and how are you doing it? Oh, is it good for her and everything?" I was like, still I need to break that stereotype. Yeah, you can bring you can bring your kids to office. You can manage as well. You can manage work and family along with,
Yeah.
but still there's support so much needed from the family as well as from the environment too. So and plus in regards to like the platform that we are running, we started off with 2 to 3% female users on the platform, and now we are around like 8 to 10% female users. So when you talk to them, I actually directly interact with those female users, and when I talk to them, I understand they want some platform where they can actually showcase their talent. So इतना हमारे पास feedback receive हुआ था, so we decided that हम लोग next step में लेके जाएंगे. We'll have a Tello shops platform in Tello Talk where they can actually sell and they can actually earn staying at home and actually giving a mentorship to do as well, because मैं directly जब interact करती हूँ, so I actually talk with them, I actually understand their problems, and we also provide the solutions to them. So they Tello Talk is not just a messaging platform. There's people who are there who are listening to us and who are actually catering to our needs and providing us that platform. Due to some cultural barriers, they're not able to actually work outside or go out of home, but at least घर पे बैठ के they have a platform where they can actually use that and grow as well. So mentorship is so much needed from like अगर हम लोग भी साथ में उनको देते रहे, us as well. So it's so much needed out there because they are all willing कि हमें कोई सुने and हमारी कोई बात समझे and then provide us the help. So it's very important कि environment को तो facilitate करना ही चाहिए, but apart from that, if we can facilitate those female users and provide mentorship to them as well, that would be great on our part too. So these accelerator programs and these incubators are doing wonderful stuff, and we should go all along the way.
Wow. And you know, giving your own example, and I believe I was reading your bio, you've been 14 years in the business now, right?
Yeah.
Mashallah, you know, coming a long way, 14 years, and being an example for others yourself. Okay, you know, if you do it, why can't you? That is a big encouragement for all those out there who might even be on the brink saying maybe, maybe not, might just hear say, if she's done it, why can't I? So it's really important to talk about, you know, one's own experiences or share stories, which you're building a community right there. If you're mentoring, you know, women. Farnaz, I'll start with you. I had some more questions for each of you. I know we might go a little over time, but since this is the only chance I have to ask you guys these amazing ladies these questions, I'm going to jump on it.
Sure.
So Tello, how, when you guys, you know, if I go back when you began and now, how did you fight off or just, you know, face other messengers in Pakistan, which are more widely available, more accessible? People prefer using it because everyone is on it. And then bringing in Tello Talk and now, mashallah, mentoring women and ladies. So how did that jump happen? Okay.
The unique proposition that we had was like other messengers actually just give you a messaging platform where you can just message the people, like it's just a P2P chat conversation that you are doing on the platform, those international messengers. Now here at Tello Talk, it's a 365-degree solution. Like our product revolves around 4 C's. That's communication, content, commerce, and community. So it's revolved on 4 C's, and we are actually a total social media platform. So you don't need to have 3 or 4 or 10 different apps on your mobile. It's one app that serves the purpose of all. So it's not just a messenger. It has live integration of news channels. It has live integration of music channels. People can share stories on that platform. They can actually share their experiences on the platform. There are also chat rooms out there where they actually discuss out different stuff based on the topics. Like it can be cricket, or it can be a gupshup corner, it can be Islamic stuff. So these are the stuff that we actually integrated into Tello Talk. So one doesn't need to have 10 different apps, one for news, or one for messaging, one for the stuff. It's all one platform that serves the purpose of all. Like you can have e-commerce platform here. You can actually sell your products. You can actually read news. You can actually listen to music. You can listen to radio channels out there. You can actually see people's stuff posting out their experiences and then chatting with those users, meeting the like-minded people out there. So this is a platform that we developed. And the best part was people actually appreciated the fact that it's a Pakistan-based messenger. It's a Pakistan-based, so they really wanted कि हमारा product है. They actually say
Absolutely.
कि
They
यार
own it
Pakistan,
then.
they own it. And
Patriotism तो वैसे ही मतलब अंग में भरी हुई है ना.
बिल्कुल, तो they all like पाकिस्तान का अपना messenger है, तो मेरा messenger है. They actually call it मेरा messenger है. So we received a lot of like उनके feedback से ही we developed the platform. And even till date, a small iteration that we make, we actually run it through our users first. We take their feedback, how they actually respond to those iterations, and actually is that a benefit to them, or is that serving the need or the purpose that actually जो करना चाहिए था, तो वो हम उनसे feedback लेके, and then we develop it and then we roll it out in a publicly. So वो बहुत जरूरी है, because the people sees that stuff कि हाँ मेरा सुन रहे हैं, and they're actually developing it according to my needs, according to our needs. No other messenger, international messenger, कभी भी पाकिस्तान में आके लोगों से बात नहीं करेगा. They won't be talking to the user directly. Here we are talking to the user directly. They can call us. They have our helpline number. They can call us. They can chat to our support agents. They can chat on messages as well on Teletalk. So they know that there are people out here who are listening to us and who are actually adapting it, what our needs are. So सबसे ज़्यादा अच्छा ये चीज़ है उनको लगे कि पाकिस्तान का चीज़ है और पाकिस्तान लोग बना रहे हैं, and yes, they actually ask us, is this a यहाँ ये यहीं के लोगों ने बनाया ना? Like yes, this is a Pakistani based messenger and it's for you guys. So that thing actually काफी हमारे लिए बहुत benefit उस पर रही है.
Local and people owning up.
Exactly.
That's, I think that is amazing. Coming to you, Hira, I wanted to ask you, so moving startups to sustainable technologies, did you face any resistance or hesitation from the startups themselves? Or were there any hurdles, let's say logistically for them, or even financially for them to make or shift towards sustainable technologies? Did you have to do some solid convincing?
So the part where the hurdles are there, they're definitely there, and they will be. As a country, we don't have the mindset for sustainability. The organizations that we require support from are not necessarily thinking about sustainability. Although that is significantly shifting now, because younger kids are more aware. People are moving more towards environmental studies and doing research on agriculture, for example, and even energy and things like that. So there's definitely a shift in thinking and mindset. So as far as convincing startups or really getting them to talk about clean tech or sustainability, no, that is actually not the challenge. The challenge is trying to be very honest, financial, and not so much. I probably have more interest from people outside of the country. However, their focus area may not be Pakistan right now. So, for example, they have a climate tech program they're sponsoring, but they'll sponsor it for Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, and then not in Pakistan. So that's not the focus area. But within the country, I think even just simple, good old tech startups have a hard time fundraising. So, where you tell them that as a green business, you're probably thinking something more long term. You are not thinking, you won't, maybe it'll take about 2 to 3 years for the startup to actually develop the product. There'll be a couple of iterations back and forth between different tech and testing it out, and then really revamping the product and getting the certifications and the patents. Like at least 5 of the startups I work with are not disclosing what they're doing publicly, because the minute they do, and because they don't have the funds to patent, one of the bigger companies are just going to come and sweep over. Their products are direct competitions to our Engros and big pops. So that fear actually keeps them from disclosing, but they're still at it. So like this last discussion we had was within the lockdown, how can we import quality seed from Europe, because the seed that comes in Pakistan from China is not good quality, and we want to see how we can improve our product and conserve water and things like that. So we have all of these discussions. There's no there's no need to motivate them. They're really motivated. But the support that they need, that there's a lot that can still be done for them. The mind shift, like even when we're talking to the Ministry of Climate Change, or if I'm talking to the Ministry of Science and Technology also, it's just easier to pick up something like, when somebody says to me, but you're talking about clean tech, where is the app in that? And it's it could be hardware as well, it could be chemical as well, it could be the important part is not the app, the important part is the technology, and then you sort of build and it has to be a mix of hardware and software, right? But I mean, if I compare it with like by Kia, for example, it's a classic example, right? It's cohort one of NIC Karachi. So if I'm counting back, cohort one was 2018. NIC Karachi launched in May 2018. So 2019-20, in 2 years, they've been able to do like a Series A and then, even more. Whereas somebody in clean tech is still sort of struggling to put together what they're working on.
But
So
do you
that's
see the
kind of
support
difference.
gradient changing? Do you see a shift?
Slowly, very slowly, very slowly. Some of it is maybe due to the fact that corporates are probably more interested now because their value chains are dependent on solutions that would need to evolve locally now. It cannot be relying on support from abroad. So in textiles, for example, that's a core industry, or agriculture, for example, because those are our two main industries.
Absolutely,
We're
yeah.
pretty open to having. But then again, what that does is some kid is going to do their research, work on a product, and before they even have time to commercialize it, it's either going to be taken over or totally wiped out because it's either feeding into my value chain or it's a direct threat. It's a competitor, right? So either or. In other industries, not so much. I mean, again, most of the participants that are coming into my programs are, actually not even textile. They're mostly agriculture and energy, which is quite interesting. Yeah, those are the two sectors. But usme bhi ye, like the one energy startup that I work with, the kids are really motivated, but for them to be able to pilot, so they've put up what they're working on is like basically a three-phase regulator, right? So it makes your power supply more efficient and reduces the bills that you are going to pay for electricity. They've spent the last 3 years trying to find one corporate client or one person who would actually sponsor it, right? And their biggest buyer should be the grid or NTDC or K Electric. But to convince these guys, and just if NTDC just collaborates with them, for example, it would not only improve NTDC efficiencies, it would also turn these guys around, right? Globally, I see companies like there's again a group that I work with. They've actually enabled different companies across the world who are energy sector companies to partner with startups, and then they work together to develop the products and allow the startups to pilot. That kind of ecosystem is what we're sort of trying to put together. And I'm not sure how soon it would happen, but let's start off.
At least at least you've taken the first step, and we've started.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Slow, but yeah, definitely. I if we are consistent with it, it will only grow. So thank you so much for what you're doing. That's huge. Cynia, I'm going to bring you in here because Hira was just talking about corporate support also needed. But I want to ask you about the corporate innovation side, what exactly the portfolio that you look after. And when you see the startup ecosystem from a corporate angle, how do you see it?
Right, thank you. That's a good question. So the corporate innovation portfolio that we have at Telenor obviously has the startup accelerator Velocity. Although startup accelerators work in a very different way, most of the startup accelerator programs we have in Pakistan have a curriculum, some sort of training, mentorship programs, access to investment readiness programs, or the final access to investor. Telenor Pakistan works differently in the sense that we're a corporate accelerator. So our major focus is to see where the synergies lie. We have a bunch of verticals or a bunch of things that we are working on right now in Telenor. And of course, you may know we're working in the agri-tech space, in the fintech space. We're also working on education, content, entertainment, etc. And what we basically try to see is now how Telenor, or any other corporate for that matter, like Google Accelerator, for instance, how we can help the startups, but also be able to scale them through using our own digital assets. So that's what we do at Velocity now. We scout for startups, but we don't scout for startups just for the sake of putting them in an accelerator and sort of like taking them through the program. We look for similar startups who are working in the spaces that we are working in, or we look for startups that when we put their apps or their products or services onto Telenor's assets, such as My Telenor app, MTA, which has around 7 billion users, 7 million users. So it just helps the startup scale up. They just get access very quickly. For instance, what Telenor has 48 million subscribers, their users. and we give them access to that. Then we give them access to a lot of domain experts, so who are generally not available in the market. You do get mentorship, but with the Telenor Velocity program, they get access to those people as if they're just available all the time, just as a mentor, as a coach. So these are people who have experience in data analytics, digital marketing, growth hacking. A lot of these startups at that point in stage in time, startup stage, they really need that support. Plus, we give them a lot of support when it comes to digital marketing, SMS marketing, just putting their sort of like word out there. We're also helping them run pilots. So we try to give them, with our startups that we're working in our portfolio right now, and we're just about to launch our cohort 7 as well. So news, and more news there in a couple of weeks with Velocity. So what we're doing now is that we're really customizing the entire program. We take it per startup. We run different pilots with the startups, and we put out a lot of different campaigns, and we see which ones work. And then there's a right model that works after a few pilots or a few experimentations. And once it works, we basically scale that startup. We help that startup. We take them to the final sort of like team that is working on such products, and then they are basically our partners. And then I feel like and you're right, a couple of years ago, corporates were not really that keen to, they were keen to innovate, but they were more keen to do that innovation in-house, and not really focus on the collaborative experience. But with Velocity and with a lot of other corporate accelerators that we have, I feel like corporates are now more inclined to co-create products with different startups as well, because innovation wahan se aayegi, more collaboration and more co-creation as well. So yeah.
And like you said, you don't help them scale up, but you also partner with them. And you're right, absolutely. So that's a great angle for us to look at when it comes to corporate innovation. So thank you for that. Eisha, coming to you. I mean, 8 years from Plan 9 to today. And mashallah, I don't even know how many startups you've seen through the journey, but I just want your insight on the journey from when you began, when there were a few startups with very few women. And now, like you said, there's 24% women, but generally your insight on the startup ecosystem in the entire country.
So see, it's been very interesting. When we started out in the Women, we would see, ya to ye the young, university graduates, slums, LSC, they knew a little bit of what this space was about, and they were trying to dabble into it, right? Or yeah, wo thi jo koi, had some opportunity to go and study abroad and come back, and they were familiar with this space. Now, what's interesting is I see, so these are younger girls, right? No responsibilities per se. What I feel is very interesting is now I see more of the homemakers coming forward now. They have, I don't know if we've provided them with the platform, the ecosystem has changed. People are more aware of problems that they face, and flexibility. But even within our cohort right now, the current cohort 9, cohort 10, I think almost all the female founders, yes, all of them are married with kids, right? They're bringing their kids, they're leaving their kids, they're getting phone calls, they're going back, and I am an example also, right? I have a 2-year-old, and when everyone was sort of sharing their stories, I remembered that when I interviewed at the NIC, Mera jab Cynia ke saath interview thi, Cynia was my manager then, and my little one Amelia, she had the craziest round of flu, and remember Cynia, she was howling and there was snot coming out of it. And so at one point I just sat down on the table and I'm talking, I'm giving my interview, and Cynia is holding the baby and roaming around with the child, cleaning her snot, right? And I kept thinking, am I giving the interview? Am I taking the interview, right? And likewise, then with Parvesa, when the interview, tab uska teething time shuru ho gaya, just my luck, right?
Oh my God.
And then throughout the interview, I told him, listen, do you have a problem if I walk her to sleep? So I put her down for her nap while I'm giving that interview, right? I remember I came home and I said, either these guys are really, really nice or incredibly stupid to hire, right? Because here I am with all my problems in front of you saying I can't make it to the 9:30 a.m. scrum because, you know, this little one has to wake up for me to come and, you know, work and whatever. And yeah, I will go home because it's her nap time now, so I need to, and I can't take this meeting because it's dinner time or it's lunch time or whatever, right? This guy's really put up with a lot of nonsense, I'd say. But see, what it has done for me is it has given me this confidence to come in, to work every day. I was also very, very lucky because I joined them 4 days before the lockdown. So I wasn't really working because I was working from home, right? And it eased my way into it. But जो initially बाहर on the fence बैठ के inhibitions होती है ना कि ओ you know पता नहीं किस तरह हो सकेगा, बच्चे के साथ कैसे करेंगे, कैसे जाएंगे, कैसे आएंगे, घर है, in-laws हैं, you know, all of that. सब sort out हो गया था. Likewise, it's very encouraging. I see my startup founders चली भी जाती हैं, meeting भी छोड़ के चले जाती हैं. आज curriculum session नहीं ले सकते, बच्चा बीमार है, in-laws से जाना है. Even एक हमारी अभी alumni थी, and you know, talking about corporates, this is another example. Awareness overall at mass level आई है. We had arranged for a mentorship meeting with the COO of a company. I will not name the company. This girl was on point, on board, shared her presentation, sab kuch hua. 11th hour, she had to be in a remote village due to some family commitment where there is no internet connectivity. She is just getting 3G, us pe wo Zoom call nahi kar sakti. She calls me up, she says, this is what it is. Main phone pe baat kar sakti hu, but maine apna product demo dikhana hai. Okay, shit, now what do we do? So I picked up the phone and I said, जी ये हो गया है, मसला हो गया है. And I was like, ये कहेगा कि यार मेरा time ही क्यों book किया है? The guy was so understanding. I was like, no problem. We schedule it when she comes back and she's in the right frame of mind. We schedule it for them, right? Not that, oh, अगले इस कर दो, मैं फारिग नहीं हूँ, nothing. And he understood that because everyone is seeing that in their own homes, right? अपनी, your wives, your sisters, your moms, your daughters, you're seeing them. So these problems are very relatable. It's not so. I feel the acceptance has really encouraged that. It was more of a startup was more of an activity that people with less responsibilities perhaps could take on. I feel like now it's for everyone. But सिर्फ एक बस initial inhibition जो है ना उसको cross करना चाहिए वो है. Initial fear, you have to take the plunge, you have to move forward. वो एक दफा जब आप कर लो ना, it's I honestly didn't think I would be able to do it. I had given myself a year and I said नहीं होता, if I see the little one getting neglected छोड़ देती हूँ, खैर है, it's okay, I'll rejoin when I feel like she's a little older. But हो सकता है, everything can happen. Now the companies, corporates, incubation centers, startups, everyone is very flexible with the way, देखो infrastructure किस तरह develop हुआ है, see online, internet, everyone's jobs are now more deliverable based as opposed to सुबह 9 बजे आओ, attendance लगाओ, 5 बजे जाओ, सारा दिन झक मारो, right? Now it's deliverable based. So रात को 2 बजे मेरी तरफ से काम करो, अगर अगले दिन सुबह मुझे काम मिल जाता है, it's fair game, right? Absolutely. So it's very encouraging. That way, I've seen a massive shift in the 7, 8 years that I've been a part of this ecosystem. All sorts of women. Ab jo hum boot camps karte hain, this last boot camp we did, we saw a mom who was she's actually a nanny, not a mom, a grandmother. She had her own gardening business based out of Karachi, and that auntie was the coolest. She would take the calls with her phone around, and we'd see her entire house, right? And she'd be giving instructions to the help, ki safai kar lo, then she'd come back to the class, right?
Normalizing this, right? Like accepting it. This is how
life
is.
The whole boot camp. This is it, right? And I see hope for everyone now. Jo women, I feel like, see, the best part is women who thought they could do something, but बच्चे हो गए हैं, शादी हो गई है, उम्र निकल गई है, blah blah blah. Even they're coming back to realize their dreams. That's the best part, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's very encouraging to see.
Yeah, like with 2 kids, same story as any of your stories. Like I feel once you start, then you know where to.
There's no going back.
How to manage it, how to get stuff done. It's just taking the plunge.
Clean. Come out clean. Tell them कि यार ये है, इस तरह होगा. The work will not get affected. उनका नुकसान भी मत करो ना. If you're delivering, nobody's going to say anything to you, right? Exactly. If you start slacking, whatever, then you're not able to do justice either way. Na idhar kar sakoge, na udhar kar sakoge. So then there's no point in doing something half-hearted, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
No, thank you so much, all of you. I'm getting the cue that I have gone way over time, but thank you so much for being a part of the talk today. There was so much to learn for me in particular, and I'm sure for the audience as well. And we will be in touch with you. Thank you, Startup Grind Kashmir, for giving us this platform to voice our opinions, views, and what we are doing in our lives. And inshallah, we'll be in touch. And all of you, have a great night. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Khuda Hafiz. Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.
Every year, Startup Grind hosts our SGWomen Month, proudly recognizing the accomplishments of successful women leaders all over the world. These women are founders, venture capitalists, engineers, executives, educators, and more, who represent our community all around the world. This month, SGWomen Month is proudly presented by Silicon Valley Bank and Google for Startups.